everyone, welcome back to the Football Amigos show. It's your boy Mide, as always. Glad to be back, amigos. I have missed you all. I have been very busy, but not too busy to be with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time today. I have Amigo Sam here with us. Amigo Sam, how are you?
Doing well, sir. Very thankful. League winners are leaguing on.
Oh, already. Okay. It's just game 28, Amigo Sam. Chill. But
It's
amigos, like
not
I said,
just we got five more wins, and we'll be talking about something different. Five more
yeah,
wins.
fair enough. Fair enough. You guys are playing exceptionally very well this season, and well deserved. Well deserved. No matter how much I don't like the team, I will still give them their kudos where it's needed. You all have played very well. Of course, we're missing our other amigo Ayo today, but of course, amigos, he'll be back. Of course, in our next content, look out for him as well. I don't know. Maybe he didn't like the final result of Arsenal, Manchester United ending at 1-1 because we actually balled better than his team. Oh, no. Of course, I know he will give me the banter in the coming weeks, but he'll be back. He'll be back with us very soon. So, amigos, let's jump into it. Game 28 reactions for this week. There were some awesome games as always in the Premier League. It always delivers with its fixtures. First, we're going to hit on the Arsenal versus Manchester United game. Arsenal played away to Manchester United at Old Trafford, and the game ended 1-1, where we saw Bruno Fernandes scoring in the second half of the game with a wonderful free kick from the right side of the field to Araya's bottom left corner, basically the ball moving above the entire wall. It was a wonderful free kick there. There was nothing Raya could do. And of course, Arsenal coming back towards the 70th minute where Declan Rice from the right hand side of the field had an open shot, which I don't know what was going on with United then, but lost in concentration, didn't close him down. Right foot shot from outside of the box on the right side of the 18-yard box, went straight to the right side of Onana's goal and could not save it. It was a very interesting game because United surprisingly had a tactical change in style of play. They went with more of a counter-attacking play, which, as we know, as we said before on the Amigo show in our previous videos, those players and their profile was built, especially from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he was their coach, to be a counter-attacking team, and it did bring them success. Of course, it did. It did, and it's one of those. Of course, remember the game in Paris, of coming back from a deficit to eventually win against PSG to winning cups with Ten Hag. That team is built on a counter-attacking team, and they showed that today, which was very impressive. They still kept their formation, they still kept Amon's philosophies, but he looks like he added some things to it, which worked. Again, we missed chances in front of goal, we couldn't finish, which has been pretty much our theme this season from a pattern perspective. Arsenal, on the other hand, they changed tactics as well, which I noticed. They bought some personnel to try to cross the ball in with Tierney on the left hand side. I would really love to hear what Amigo Ayo has to say about that tactical change and why they didn't play like themselves today. But of course, Declan Rice, which he has been challenged to become a better player in those big games, stood up today. Before I start giving my analysis on United's game, Ayo, of course, he'll give his once he returns. But Amigo Sam, from that game, what are your thoughts from a performance standpoint from both teams, and what stood out to you as well?
Yeah, I think my the biggest one is United for me. I think the only way the performance was good. I'm not going to take that away from them. The only way they could have gone into that game with a point at the minimum is what they did. Um, you can strictly play 3-4-3 against this current Arsenal despite not having uh, Saka, Martinelli. So big credit to United for holding their ground, standing their ground, breaking a lot of attacks. That helped a lot. But I do think their performance would have actually crowned them or gave them a 3 points if they started with Rasmus Højlund over Zeski. Yes,
Really?
Zeski. Yeah,
Really? I would love to hear more about this, amigos.
yeah.
Sam, why? Why would you say?
The first half, Zeski missed some passes. I think that player is lacking confidence. I lacking confidence, lacking accuracy ultimately with his delivery. So some clinical passes that you can see the intention didn't come true. So Oyland on the other side is more quick, more decisive to me. So that would have actually helped him out. But overall, I think he had a good game. Could be better compared to the Zeski that I know. I think that was a better performance from him, but just a little bit more would have helped United ultimately. Because still a few counter attack opportunities. That if they had taking time, more confidence, more clinical with the passes. One last pass will get them that goal. But overall, great performance. I think Arsenal struggled a little bit in terms of finishing through the attacks. I don't know. I think I see less from Trossard, at least for the first game that I saw. That left side, that left side was a little weak. They were shifting more towards the right side when Neri was, doing the work, but it just wasn't good enough to penetrate to through Man United, which it's a testament to how disciplined Man United was in that game. To be honest, like defensive work was solid. I think both teams should be proud of what they got out of the game.
Amigo Sam, you mentioned something that will interest our Amigo fans. You mentioned how defensively disciplined United were. And to be honest, Sam, this was the first time I noticed the team truly playing Amram's way of style of play from a defensive standpoint. There was a moment, I think it was maybe the 60th minute, where Arsenal had switched the play from right to the middle to the left, and they were trying to attack from that left side again. And I literally saw 9 United players running back in the recovery to create a defensive shape to try to box Arsenal off on their left side of the field in the attacking third, our right side of the field in a defensive third. And Xerxes was one of them that I noticed. And once he got there, he pressed first. That shows me clearly United had a defensive shape and a defensive discipline of what to do. And it looks to me that the team is now showing those defensive actions a lot more consistently, which means they're actually playing to what Amma wants them to play. We've talked about Casemiro for the past couple of weeks losing his legs, being honest. All of a sudden, he's playing very well and looking like himself again because of God knows there might be have been the conversations off the field that you are under contract, you need to start performing. And sometimes things like this will happen to teams that don't have any players on the bench to come on and play. Because Guy Collier could come in today and help out, but it looks to me that they are responding to Amorim's tactics. And the fact that Amorim also changed how he attacked to a more counter-attacking play created an abundance of chances that, to your point again, Sam, we just don't have the player up top to finish those chances. And I would hope the owners will see that and help Amon invest over the summer. Now, Sam, from your perspective, before we move on to the Liverpool game, is it over for Arsenal now in terms of title challenges? Should they just settle for a top two or a top four and go back to the drawing board next season to not only get a prolific striker, but also maybe buy some wingers that can actually score goals? Or do you think they keep what they have right now and just move on to next season?
That's a very good question. I want it to be over for them for sure as a Liverpool fan.
Of course
But
you would. So you win the title.
sincerely, you can never rule out. Excuse me. you can never call the season over at this stage, especially in Premier League. If you're talking about Bundesliga, League One, maybe not Spanish league, but with Premier League precisely or in particular, you can never call it. It's never over until the point says it's over. Because Liverpool can sleep. There's so many games. There's so many high performance expectation from the team. Going back to Arsenal, I think they need to keep playing. They need to keep using what they have. Maybe a little bit more tactical in terms of the attack. I think Waneri is doing a great job, but Waneri is not Saka. I think if he improves his creation, it will also help. And of course, it begs the question: who's going to score? Right, who is the natural goal scorer? But I think he can do well drawing opponents out and delivering more accurate passes. Not saying it's terrible right now, but those are the things that I'm saying. Like if you overload, if he delays, dribbles a little bit from the zone side, and anyone from the left can easily slide in and some create some chances for them. But you never rule out any team.
No,
But
I'm glad.
they do need to push harder in terms of next 2 seasons if
Hmm.
they really want to win the Premier League title. There has to be a series of changes. The defense is okay.
Hmm.
Uh, they just need the midfield is also okay as well. That attack needs to they need to have strong plan B. Jesus is not gonna cannot be their plan B. It should always be like plan C at this point with the way the Premier League is changing in terms of attackers. You have players like Dulap. Is it Dulap or from Ipswich? Very
Yes,
quick, very
yes.
yeah. So very accurate, sharp. So you have to look at players like that. You have to look at what they're doing. You can't rely on Jesus. I think Jesus, Sterling, those are you should definitely look into moving those on if you want to get somewhere in the next 2 seasons.
Hmm. No, I totally agree with you, Sam. It'll be interesting to see who they buy in that number nine role. I know they're still courting Sesko from RB Leipzig. You mentioned Liam Delap, which I think it's a wonderful profile for them to have. The question for me with him is he prolific enough for Arsenal's level? Now, I say that Arsenal is known for creating chances, so you would hope that if he has so many chances, let's say he has five in the space of 20 minutes, you should hope he should score two. That's the level that Arsenal needs to be. If you have five chances in 20 minutes, if you're scoring two, that's a good start to have because
Yeah.
then you are showing signs of a prolific goal scorer in a very short period of time. Anything to add to that, Sam?
No, I think you made a very good point. I won't put him as number one when it comes to number nine option, but it's definitely I actually mentioned him in terms of how quickly it moves. Not so a recommendation for Arsenal, like how
Okay.
players have moved. You can't
Mm-hmm.
compare his movement with Jesus.
No.
Of course, they shift in terms of position a little bit. Occasionally, Jesus kind of tend to shift more right. And also for Delap, he relies more on the passes from the midfield. So if you're going to bring him to Arsenal, you have to Odegaard has to continuously deliver those tiny, tiny straight passes, right? On the left side, it won't be a great thing for Trossard because Trossard Martinelli, they tend to be a little bit more okay, dribble and kind of shift. So it won't get a lot of passes with those guys, but Odegaard will be a great provider for his work. And I think Saka and Guarneri would also they will also be a great supplier for him. But I don't think he's a good player in the airspace. I don't think he's good when it comes to headers and all of that. But not a
Area
recommendation for Arsenal.
hmm
Yeah, but definitely look at players like that and say, does my number one, number nine option match what these guys are doing? You know, if they are not close to anything that those guys have, speed, accuracy, you need to start having that conversation about replacement.
Absolutely, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see who they eventually buy in that spot. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about Arsenal's performance, Manchester United's performance. Who do you think will be the X factor from a striking standpoint for both teams? It's going to be a very interesting summer, but before that, amigos, we'd love to have your predictions for those positions. Moving on to our second highlight of the weekend in terms of reactions, Liverpool played Southampton, which I personally thought Liverpool were going to run away with that game. But surprisingly enough, Southampton scored first, and it was Smallbone that scored from the left hand side of the 18-yard box in a goal mouth scramble, which Allison tried his best to catch, but it was one of those where Smallbone saw the gap and placed it absolutely in. And it would have been a very interesting halftime team talk after that goal, right at 46 minutes with added time to end the first half. Of course, Liverpool came back all guns blazing in the second half. Salah got his two penalties and scored. Um, Nunez, our amigo Sam's favorite player from a Liverpool standpoint, did score as well. Had a couple of chances that he missed that he needs to improve on. Of course, got his complimentary yellow card as he always does with his shenanigans. But again, Liverpool playing like a champion team and knows how to beat teams for them to be able to continue to move up and start to show a gap in terms of the league table and based on their points. I'll mention some things about Southampton moving forward, but Sam, love you to talk about Liverpool and knowing what they have to do this coming week in terms of Champions League. Do you think they might be a little over reliant on Salah, or do you think players like Elliott can step up long term to help support that team in terms of goals and chance creation?
Absolutely. I don't think it's over reliance on Salah. I think it's more of the other side. Players needs to step up, uh, including Van Dijk. The goal against Southampton was just pure communication, maybe a little bit of overconfidence. We underestimated Southampton because the coach didn't underestimate them, but I think the players underestimated them. So that's why they were able to get more chances than they would have gotten in any Premier League, especially against the league leader. So every of our players needs to improve. I think Harlison had a great game. But going back to your question, that game, it's easily the ones that you put Salah on the bench. That could have been the game. Bring in players like Chiesa, Elliott, let them finish the job. But unfortunately, we had probably about 70% of our senior team or team A on the pitch, and we could not kill the game in first half. So it's a little disappointing. And of course, this disappointment is kind of flow through from the game against PSG. The PSG is a really good team. I'm not going to underestimate them, but I think we didn't show up for that game. Um, PSG almost ran with the game. Big credit to Allison. So many incredible saves in that game. So we're kind of a little bit dropping uh, our consistency. But going back to what you mentioned, champions always find a way to win. The way I respond to that question is against who, against what team, right? So if it's against Southampton, Wolves, I get it. But if you're doing the same thing against Arsenal, even the Man City of today, even against Man United of today, the chances of you coming back and winning the game are so slim. So we don't want to keep going with that. And I'm not being negative. I'm just being factual. We, that game was at Anfield. About 65 to 70% of our team A were on the pitch, and we didn't come out with an A performance. So it needs to be looked into, especially as we welcome PSG.
No, I totally agree 100% with that analysis, Sam. I could tell not only do you know your team, you know what it takes for them to move to the next level to truly win the Premier League, and not just the Premier League, but take it to the next level with the Champions League. against PSG because I can bet you Wednesday is going to be very interesting at Anfield. And PSG, they look like a team that are now playing as a team as opposed to individual brilliance that they've done over the past 10 years that they've started this project to try to win the Champions League. I think it's going to push Liverpool to the limits. They did win in Paris 1-0 towards the end, but PSG is going to come, they're going to come at it. They will.
Yeah.
They will come at it. So it's going to be a fascinating game to play. But against Southampton, it's one of those where you know how to dispatch teams like that eventually. Sometimes you may need to, like you said, analyze why they couldn't play players on the bench to really finish that game, maybe 2-0. Why did they have to bring Salah in to try to change the situation? And I think that will show if Arne Slot's team can go up a gear or go down a gear long term when they have the ability to bring in players that may not have enough minutes to play teams that we know where they are on the league and what they're capable of, and be able to dispatch that team with ease as they climb up the table and sustain that gap between them being the first on the table and top three in that situation. A great game from a neutral standpoint. I did watch the game and I thought Liverpool had some moments, as they always do, better second half than the first half. Southampton really went for it the first half, which I thought was really brave from them. Of course, quality showed in the second half, as it always does with the level of teams that play each other in the Premier League. Unfortunately, especially coming in from the Championship. But to your point, long term, it'll be very interesting to see if Liverpool can go different gears based on the players they have and the tactics that Ancelotti is trying to keep, and that works based on the players he has. I still think he needs some game changers in that team, and not just Salah. I think he needs some other players that can truly impact that game. I think Gakpo is missing. I think he's becoming that player now that can change games. I think Elliott. It will be interesting to see if he can make it a consistent thing. Luis Diaz, I don't know. Don't know long term with him. Nunez, I'm not so sure. Your thoughts on that, Sam?
You mentioned Gapo. I think Gapo is a really is not becoming is a really is a key player for us right now in terms of moments like that. Yeah, Diaz, Nunes, they have their own moments. They are doing a lot. I won't take that away from them. But it depends on how the coach introduced them into these games. Uh, I think Elliott is also a very important player when it comes in with the very few minutes that he's getting these days. Uh, Almost every team has one guy that everybody expects to kind of deliver a miraculous move and all of that. But it's hard to have 3-4 on the team, right? Because if you have 3-4, then you become a Barcelona of Messi, Suarez, Neymar, and which you rarely see these days. But going to your point, Liverpool, everybody needs to pitch in. Everybody needs to put in the effort, not just from the attackers, from the defenders as well. I'm really pleased with the defenders, but they just need to, keep up the A level game, and we don't need to have moments like that before we start rambling and looking at a substitution and say who else can we bring in? No, show up, cue the game, do your job, and let's hope we win a couple of trophies in the next few months.
Yeah, no, that would definitely be Liverpool's direction and goals before the end of the season. At least, definitely wrap up Premier League and possibly try to wrap up Champions League if they can. I mean, they'll have
And
to
we
go
have
past. Have to go past Real
the
Madrid,
FA Cup. Yeah,
PSG, and then of course you have to go up as well to
yeah.
the semifinals are on. It'll be interesting if they can go far with that. But I will give it to you, Sam. Liverpool have been one of the most consistent teams not just in the English Premier League, but in every competition they've been in, and it's been very impressive. I take that back. Liverpool is out of the FA Cup. Ha! They're
It's
out of that.
EFL. Is it EFL? Which of no?
The
We have a
the
final with
League Cup, the League Cup, yes, against
yeah, Newcastle.
Newcastle, yes. So they have a chance to definitely win that as the
Yeah,
first silverware, which I believe is next week. I believe that game is next week
yeah.
Sunday, and of course they'll have Premier League to consistently continue to win. And like you said, if they can win 5 games in a row, they're champions. And then let's see how they perform in Champions League when you have the likes of Real Madrid and PSG. They still have to get past that, and of course Bayern Munich and some other teams there that would surprise you if they keep playing the way they're playing. Amigos, thank you so much for your time. Let us know your thoughts on that Liverpool game as well too, and Southampton. Southampton, to wrap up, we know where they are, we know their strengths. They try to play good brand of football. The quality just isn't there. If they can keep some of the players they have, De Bruyne is going to be a doubt just because of his performance this season. Walker Peters is another one in the right wing back that a lot of teams are looking at. I can see Suleimana as another player that a lot of teams are looking at as well, with the likes of Everton looking at him. He's a good player as well, very quick. It'll be interesting to see if some of the midfielders, Fernandez, that's another one that actually has had a good season. So they have some players in there that can step up and stay in the Premier League while the team goes down to the Championship, and see if they use the money they get from the Premier League to be able to revamp their team and give it
And bounce back. Yeah.
another shot for the next season. Before we wrap up today, Sam, any thoughts to leave our amigos with before our next content?
Are you excited with the new United that we're seeing now? And what's your thought on
I
United
am,
right now?
I am, and I say that because it looks to me that the time he's having with them in training is showing on the field. Especially
Yeah.
defensively today, I was more impressed with them, regardless of the tactical change, going counter-attacking play that did work today. They just couldn't finish. Very impressed with how they played defensively, how they kept the ball. Onana, I would give him a second chance, but not starting for United. He would be a second choice goalkeeper for me. He's had 2 good weeks now. Let me not say 2 good weeks, 2 good games now. And sometimes adversity happens in life that brings out the best in you after it brings out the worst in you. I still see him long term being a second choice goalkeeper, not a first choice goalkeeper. Or you bring in a young goalkeeper that you can groom and improve and challenge him so that if situations comes up again where he's not performing consistently, you can bring in that new goalkeeper and he stays there, goes through the emotions, let him make his mistakes, but you know that you have a pathway for him to become a permanent Manchester United goalkeeper with the right attitude, the right mindset, and the right pedigree that Amram wants to see. Overall, I like what I saw. We know the obvious situation. Xerxes more of a 10 to me than a 9. I would
Mhm.
put Xerxes as one of the 10s and put Hoyland as one of the 9s and just have them play continuously. If Chidobe is ready, put him in last 15 minutes or 20 minutes, see what he does. But that's all we have in the team. There's nothing else. So you might as well use those players and to your best of your ability and let him get you results and hopefully move up the Premier League and win the UEFA Europa League, because if we don't win that, we are in trouble financially for the rest of
Yeah.
the entire season and even in the summer as well, in terms of buying players and retaining the ones we have that are good enough for that team. We're definitely going to have a lot of players leaving the door. I can see 7 of them right now leaving the door. So it's going to be a lot of changes for Amarim to manage and the club in the summer, which I am excited about. I would give him another 2 years and just see what he does.
Yeah, good thoughts, and that's very fair as well. So, well, I wish you all the best, especially with the European Cup. It will be great to have some silverware to hold on to in this season for y'all. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll take it. We'll take the positive encouragement, Sam. We'll take it, even though it's even though it's from a team that I don't have anything to do with. We'll still take the compliments.
Hey,
Amigo,
take it, please. Yeah.
right? Amigos, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Hope you enjoyed the show. We will look forward to seeing you very soon in our next content. Stay tuned. Have some great things coming your way. Of course, we'll have Amigo Ayo back hopefully soon in our next content, and of course, bring you the best analysis, predictions, and insights from a stats perspective, from a coaching standpoint as well. And of course, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe. As always, thank you, amigos. See you on the next content.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.